Hello, I'm Joel, and you know what? Reading books is awesome. Watching movies is awesome. And superheroes are also awesome. But sometimes you want something a bit more. Something a bit more dark, dreary, grim, and filled with despair. And people more stubborn than a stone. So, my recommendation in this regard is Worm. It is a web published story that's written by someone that goes by the name of Wildbow, and it's about a alternate history world America where people get superpowers during the worst day of their life. And not everyone does, but essentially, when you're down, you're kicked in the balls, and you're feeling miserable, and everyone is out to kill you, and depression is at all high, or trauma is at max, there's a likelihood that you will get some insane powers worming their way into your brain. To make matters worse, the city of Brockton Bay, where it starts off, has a gang of Asian criminals called the Asian Bad Boys. Their leader is a man called Lung, which means dragon. And he apparently escalates until gets bigger and bigger and more immortal brawler with flames and fire and fury. And his lieutenant is a man that can duplicate himself, teleport around and blow himself up, duplicating his bombs, and then teleport in and blow himself up again. Yeah, the suicide bomber that never dies. To make matters worse, you have the merchants, a loose affiliation of druggies, drug users, and drug abusers, led by this foul-mouthed, disgusting fellow called Skidmark, who apparently can make force fields around himself that diverts energy. Or it diverts objects, so he can make objects spins around him really fast and such, it seems. And of course, the other cape is called Squealer. His drugged out, shit down on luck girlfriend that builds cars that looks like the Mad Max wet dream. And lastly, we have the lovely gang called Empire 88. They are actual Nazis. White supremacy and hating minorities, and you know the drill. They're one step away from goose stepping across the state. The leader is even called the Kaiser. He can make metal things sprout from surfaces. And then you have Hookwolf that turns into a whirling blade of Hook's vaguely wolf shape. You have Crusader that, makes copies of himself, ghostly copies of himself he attacks with. And Rune, who floats around on objects. And yeah. And you have Storm Tiger that keeps manipulating wind. And has a Krieg that can just steal abilities and skills from people. Oh, I almost forgot to mention that there is a Parahuman Response Team, or PRT, which could also stand for Press Relation Team, because that's what they do most of the time. They are supposed to be the definitive good guys, upholding law and order and beating down other superpowered gangbangers, but more often than enough, they are just a bunch of overpowered children that's under-equipped and underfunded and understaffed to deal with the shit that goes downtown. The two adults in the team that's most noteworthy is Arms Master. He basically is just a super Batman that can make stuff and miniaturize it. And the other one is a woman that can make guns, called Miss America. Yep. And of course you have a bunch of kids. One is called Shadow Stalker, becomes Shadow and shoot arrows. Then you have, of course, Kid Win that makes technology. And then you have Vista that can bend the reality and make wormholes. Yeah, essentially can bring something from there to over here and back again. Yeah, there's also Assault and Battery. I keep forgetting what their abilities are. There's something with saving up energy and something like that. The other so-called good guy team is composed of A girl that is a flying brick in a miniskirt that has a habit of being a bit too violent, and her sister Panacea that can pretty much cure any illness of the flesh, and is working herself to death in the hospital due to their super-powered mother, who is also a superhero. I forgot what her powers is. And then there's the father who also has powers, but he is depressed, so I don't remember what his power was either. Yes, I do realize I will spoil a lot of stuff, but I will not spoil everything, and that's not going to happen anytime soon. I just need to introduce the setting. So essentially this American town called Brockton Bay is full of gangs. Have more gangs per capita and superpowered people turning the place into shit. Oh yeah, the world is also every third month attacked by giant, not mecha, but huge calamities that just destroys random cities around the globe, destroying society. No, of course, then you have the protagonist of this here dark, grim, and awesome story, Taylor. She is stubborn, she's being picked on, she is being downtrodden and abused by her childhood friend and their cronies. And during the worst day of her life, she is stuffed into a locker filled with feminine hygiene products that has been marinating for a couple of days. She ends up with the power of controlling insects. All of the insects. In a couple of miles radius. It's a bit hit and miss, but yeah. Fine control and micromanagement of all the bugs. And you can imagine how this sounds a bit weak until you realize, oh wait, we're surrounded by insects. They are poisonous. And all of that, the good stuff. So yeah. Due to shenanigans and unfortunate fights and the arms master being an asshole and not a people person, she ended up joining a team of rogue individuals that have been screwed over by the lawful system. And as the story progresses, it keeps getting more and more involved and more world-spawning adventure and secret conspiracies and shit hits the fan. So is it well worth it? Yes. Yes, I would say so. So that's why I'm not going to spoil anything more. And besides, it's a couple of, million words at least, or at least 1 million words or so to read. It's not for the faint of heart, but I find it enjoyable. And I've been a bit obsessed with certain fanfictions and crossovers based on this setting, because some of them are just really good. Like, follow, subscribe to me on social media, links down below. I have a Patreon. I'm out.